Um, it is odd how people go into fashion and out of fashion. I mean, Ernest Gellner was a very, I mean, knew all about the axial age and knew about Jaspers. Jaspers is again a great mountain, which is very difficult to climb. He wrote books on all the great philosophers around the world. And he is reputedly the only person who Max Weber felt he could have an equal conversation with.
Not a duel.
Sorry?
Not a duel, because Weber had lots of duels, didn't he? Didn't he have a lot of scars on his face through sword fighting?
Oh yes, yes, yes. I don't the duels. I thought it had Jews. Jaspers was a Jew, and of course that had a devastating effect for him because in the Second World War he was victimized, and his great what he did through his life, he wrote on different philosophers and different civilizations in a number of huge works. And then after the war, as happened with a number of thinkers who suddenly felt, we could be dead tomorrow, like Mark Bloch writing The Craft of History in a German prisoner of war camp. Jaspers sat down to write a very short book, The Origins and Goal of History, in which he summarized all that he knew from all these civilizational studies. And it is absolutely a wonderful book. One of the best accounts of why the scientific revolution occurred, one of the best accounts of modernity, and so on. Because he was a true Weberian and he saw the relations between things. And in the second chapter, I think it is, because he could look at the whole world, he saw a pattern in it. And the pattern was the very simple idea that if you looked at all the philosophies which he'd got inside, Confucianism and Lao Tzu's thought and the Indian and so on, across to the Greeks, all of them have a similar turning point, the change, the turning on the axis between 700 and 200 BC. Everywhere disenchanted the world, using the terminology I've used before. They separated that world, perfect world, from this imperfect world. So modernity in the separation between material and this world, this material world and our spiritual world, is one product of the axial age. And he had two axial ages. The first is that one, and the second was the scientific revolution, which took it to its logical conclusion. And as a meta theory, as I think I've described before, the degree of axiality from the west to the east, as a way of first entering into a comparison between civilizations. It's a beautiful, simple key. And it was a lot of people like the sociologist Eisenstadt, who is an expert on axiality, Ernest Gellner, that generation of sociologists and philosophers and knew all about Jaspers. Then, for whatever reasons, theories go out of interest. People lost a lot of interest, and I'd never heard about him. He was never mentioned to me through my education as someone I should take hold of, and it was only basically through chance and various other things. I don't know how I got interested in him, but when I explain his ideas to young people, they often find them extremely interesting and helpful. And there are people now, there are a lot of books coming out on the axiality and so on. And there's a lot of interest in him. And there are religious writers like Armstrong and so on who write about him. But I expect he will come back and then go away. But he's never going to be, for some reason, a household name like Max Weber.